Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's dirty news from Smallville to Jakku and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Well, Mike, anyone who's watching us or seeing it in their podcast feed of choice will see that a new logo and design for the podcast is up.
Yeah, look at that. And who do we have to thank for that?
We have to thank our good friend Steve Irwin, who I'm pretty sure is not listening to the podcast, but phenomenal graphic designer who helped out a little on the rebranding, and here we are.
Well, Steve, not you, Steve, but Steve Irwin, thanks for the new designs. But no thank you for not listening to this show. You should be listening and hearing us thank you. It's only courteous to hear somebody when they're thanking you. Did you just spill liquid all over your chin?
Maybe.
Okay.
That's what the beard's for, man. Just a catch-all.
Eagle-eye viewers, scroll back on this YouTube video and watch Steve just pour liquid all over his chin.
Yep. Water everywhere.
Yeah. Steve, you and I were talking before we started how it feels like it's been a very long time since we've done this show when it's really only been 8 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last time we did it in a Saturday night. We did it in a hotel room in Saratoga, New York.
Yes, we did.
And since then, there was a whole Thanksgiving Day holiday and extended break from day jobs and whatnot that throws time into all crazy kinds of corners. So all those things combined make it seem like it's really been a long time since we've been at these microphones looking at each other and talking to each other on the screen, but it hasn't really been that long. But it feels good to be back in this routine, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's some comfortability to it. It's not a bad thing. The chaos of last weekend, as awesome as it was definitely chaos. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. A little bit more structure to this week's episode. We were talking about some new, exciting, and pretty big DC Superman casting stuff. And we got a lot of Star Wars stuff to talk about, which I'm very excited. I feel like we've had a lot of Marvel stuff for the last few weeks. It's been very Marvel heavy, for good or for bad.
Yep.
And this week we got a bunch of Star Wars and, like I said, some big DC stuff. So plus comics and comics reviews, all that kind of stuff. This show is sponsored by Funky Town Comics in Camillus, New York. It's had a huge sale this weekend. Did you check out the Thanksgiving long weekend holiday sale?
I did. They were doing a ridiculous 50% off of box books.
Yeah.
So if you thumb through any of the long boxes, it was 50 off anything that was in there. I did snag a wonderful Star Wars Legacy 25, which is one of the iconic covers from that series, the old Dark Horse series, which had, I believe the cover's got Obi-Wan on it, just looking pure Obi-Wan. So.
Oh, nice. Awesome. I was there today, and I got all graphic novels were 50% off.
Oh.
And I got a Wonder Woman Historia hardcover.
Nice.
Which is a book I have not read, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about. So looking forward to diving into that. But yeah, great, always good finds at Funky Town. So check them out, people.
Yep.
A couple other things. What? Hey.
Since we're talking Funky Town, made me think. Would also like to mention the Syracuse Collectors Con that is going to be March 16th and 17th, 2024.
Yep.
We're going to be sponsors of that and have a table at the show. So if you're, we'll keep mentioning it as we get closer to it. But if you're in the Syracuse area or in the greater upstate New York area, it seems like it's shaping up to be a decent one. So I'd say come on out and check it out, and we'll be there and broadcasting live from the show.
Yeah, I will have a table for selling and signing comics like I did at Saratoga last week.
And I'll have a table next to him.
We will have a table to do the Multiverse Report, and I'm not sure how it's going to work.
We may have to recruit some people.
Selling books and talking on a podcast at the same time. We may have to have a special guest co-host or a
Yeah.
special appearance or a special guest comic book
Right.
seller.
If
in
you're
my
listening
place.
to this and want to volunteer to help us out, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Although we do have a couple people in mind,
Yes.
I should say.
I'm assuming most of the people that will reach out are some of the people we have in mind.
Probably the same people. Yeah, correct.
Venn diagram definitely overlaps there.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, sure, definitely check out for that. You'll definitely be hearing us talk more about that as we get closer to it. I want to say personal bit of business and plug that I want to do. I don't really talk about the fact that I am a musician and songwriter, as well as being a huge nerd. Don't talk about that much on this show, but I am. It's very true. I have been in one band in the Syracuse area called The Action now for 25 years. My literal high school band that just never broke up, just kept playing miraculously. And we are playing a 25th anniversary show this coming Friday at Funk and Waffles in downtown Syracuse, New York. We're going to be doing our own kind of Taylor Swift Eras tour, but just with like different albums and phases of our band over the last 25 years. Doors are at 7. It's $10 to get in. Breaking this news right here, we will have new merchandise, new shirts, and new stickers available at the show.
Ooh.
And opening band starts at 8. We'll start around 9 and play till around 11. That's right. We're playing for 2 hours, nonstop, most likely, and some special guests from past years of the band, things like that, former members coming back. So check us out if you care about me at all or are interested in, songs and fun music.
Yeah.
Come see me.
So it's a good show,
please.
and I'll be missing it.
Steve won't be there because he doesn't care about me.
Nope, not at all.
And he doesn't like fun times and good music or whatever I just said. He doesn't like those things.
See, I enjoy all of those things. However, I'll be down in Philly at PAX Unplugged. This was scheduled prior to the scheduling of said show,
Of course.
and tickets were bought. Ergo, I will not be present, but go check it out. That will be an awesome show every time they play. It's a grand old time.
Well, thank you very much, Steve.
Did you like the lyrics plug in there?
I did, yeah. I did. Although it's good old times.
Oh,
my
whatever.
lyric, but I get what you mean. I get it.
You know where I was going.
Wouldn't it be funny if off pod we like really hated each other and we only just did this because we were good. We just knew we were good at it.
Yeah, like little did they realize we were ready to shoot each other in the Saratoga hotel room
was
right before we recorded
unbearable.
that. Yeah, it was horrible.
Unbearable. We're really good at faking this.
Yes.
Last, definitely not least, possibly the most exciting piece of news that I have to share, to break with listeners and watchers of the Multiverse Report is that later this week, we have an interview with a honest-to-God comic book creator and writer named Simon Birks. Simon Birks is a writer of comics, novels, graphic novels, and films. He has a current series that's coming out from Top Cow and Image called Antarctica, which is very good. Steve and I are both reading that currently. We're talking to him. We're recording an interview with him later this week. We're not sure when it's going to come out. Because
whether it'll be live, whether it'll be recorded, what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Logistics are still being worked out, but sometime this week, you will see that in your feeds.
We will figure it out. I would say check late in the week. We haven't ironed out all the details, as you can tell, by the way we're talking about it. But regardless, we will be talking to Simon Birks this week and seeing what's going on with him, what books he's got coming out, what the future of Antarctica holds, all that kind of good stuff. So check that out. It's only the second time we've ever had a full-on interview. We interviewed Elise Russell about her Dark Side of Purity book when that was going to Kickstarter, but that was a long time ago that we did. That was like a year ago, probably. So here we are with an honest-to-God comic creator. Very excited to talk to him, and hopefully,
Mike, I talk to an honest-to-God comic creator every week on this podcast.
Aw, Steve, thank you. I guess that's true. You don't interview me though.
True. We'll give you that.
Every episode of this show is you interviewing me about my comic book writing,
we would have 0 subscribers.
I don't know that we would have been doing this for 2 years.
No.
We'd have some subscribers. Some people, I'm sure, are really interested in my process. But
it would be our wives.
About it over and over again every week. I don't know about that. But anyway, yeah. So stay tuned for that. We will obviously announce when that's going to be coming up on our social medias, or when you will be able to listen to it. We'll let you know. But yeah, super cool. Diving right in to some news. And again, we're not really doing Strike Watch anymore, but I just do want to mention that I heard on another podcast that was talking about it, is that the deal that was made still hasn't been voted on. Still has to be voted on. The strike is officially over, but the deal hasn't been voted on. Has to be voted on, and I guess there's some rumblings of discontent about the deal when it comes to the AI provisions, some details of the AI provisions. So hopefully gets ironed out and we don't have to go back into doing Strike Watch. But just saying, that's something that I heard twice this week. So just mentioning it. Hopefully everything's fine and we keep moving forward. Because I do not want to go back to Strike Watch. And I don't think most of Hollywood does either.
Nope.
Anyway, diving into some DC stuff. Last week we talked about some Superman Legacy casting. They cast, who was it last week? I'm blanking on the person that they cast. The
I
character.
don't even remember.
Oh, the engineer from
That's what it
we know
was.
that she's
Yep.
going to move on to the Authority. I don't remember the actress's name.
Right, and
But,
we were wondering like why of all things that's the first thing that breaks, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you never know. We got some bigger names this week. This week, it has been announced that Skylar Gisondo from Righteous Gemstones, who's also in Booksmart and a few other things, has been cast as Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Definitively had no idea who that was when I read the name. Looked him up. I recognized the face. Like
I also recognize the face. Yeah.
He's a that guy-ish type. I
Yep.
think he has a couple. I think like Righteous Gemstones and a couple other places he's had more prominent roles. But I'm like, oh yeah, I know him from somewhere.
Exactly. He's been in a bunch of stuff that I've seen. I've seen Booksmart. I've seen some of the other things he's done. I haven't watched Righteous Gemstones. But when I saw his face, I was like, not only was I like, oh, I recognize him, I also thought, oh, he looks like Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, 100%.
So,
yeah.
I think that's really good casting. And I just like, you and I have talked about it on the show before. I feel like sometimes a lot of superhero adaptations, and not even adaptations, sometimes comics lately have been losing track of the importance of the non-powered side characters that are there to support the main character. Like not everybody has to have superpowers. Mary Jane Watson doesn't have to have superpowers. She can just be a human being and be a supportive character to Spider-Man, whatever.
Yeah.
But the focus that Superman Legacy seems to have on the Lois Lane character, and now casting a Jimmy Olsen character, really makes me think that they're not forgetting that very important aspect of superhero stories.
Also, he is no stranger to comic book adaptations, as he played Gwen Stacy's brother in Amazing Spider-Man.
That's right.
Now he was like 12 at
pretty
the time,
small role,
but
and I don't think that was much of a meaty role.
yeah,
Didn't have
and
much
also
to do.
not a thing in the books. So yeah.
I
Not
think
much
he
meat on
sat
the bone there.
around an awkward dinner conversation.
Yep.
With Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, and Dennis Leary, and
Yep.
that's probably about it.
100%. So yeah, that's what he was there though.
He sure was. But he's not the only cast member that we got for Superman Legacy this week. We also got Victoria's Secret model and actress Sarah Sampaio cast as Eve Tessmacher.
I don't know who that is.
Well, Steve, have you seen the original Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve
Yes.
and Gene Hackman? Yes. You might remember Gene Hackman yelling for Miss Tessmacher!
Okay.
Miss Tessmacher!
I remember
the,
yelling for something, but did not put two and two together there.
She is the female assistant to Lex Luthor in Superman and Superman 2. That was her first appearance. She then, of course, was adapted into the comics, where I think she was Lex's love interest for a while. She's been kind of femme fatale.
Okay.
Evil, not evil, anti-evil, like kind of like a gray kind of character from time to time. And she's going to be in Superman Legacy, which I think is cool. I think is really cool. Now, it makes me wonder how much of the villainous team from the original Superman the movie we're going to get. We have, about to bury the lead. We have found a Lex Luthor. We have found an Eve Tessmacher. Are they going to cast an Otis? We're going to get a recast of the Ned Beatty Otis character? I don't know. Probably not.
These things, I don't know.
But it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they did, I guess. But not that we need one. As I just let slip a moment ago, Lex Luthor has been cast in Superman Legacy. And Steve, this is something that you and I talked about. You and I talked about how this would be a good idea. We talked about how it would be a good idea if Nicholas Hoult wasn't cast as Superman, if he was cast as Lex Luthor. And guess what? Nicholas Hoult will be playing Lex Luthor in Superman Legacy. Yeah.
We did it, buddy. We did it.
We did it. We did it, Steve. Nicholas Hoult obviously played Hank McCoy Beast in X-Men First Class and the sequels to that film.
Yep.
He was also in the Hulu show The Great. He was very good in that show. Renfield. He's been in a bunch of different stuff.
Mad Max.
Even just lately. Yep. Mad Max. Exactly. Yeah. I think he was definitely that guy actor until he rose above that. I feel like and started getting some real media roles.
He was also he played Tolkien in the eponymous movie.
That's right. I forgot about that. I forgot they even made that
good.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Nicholas Hoult famously was second in the running to be cast as Batman in The Batman, went to Robert Pattinson, and was second in the running to be cast as Superman in Superman Legacy, went to David Corenswet. I gotta think that James Gunn knew during that audition process, is like, no, this guy's gonna be my Lex Luthor.
Right.
I just can't say anything about it or whatever for a while. And they took a while to get the deal done or whatever.
Right. They probably it was probably one of those where it was like, oh, we're on strike. Okay, so much for that.
Exactly. I think this is great casting. I think that he's a really great actor. I think he can. I mean, he's the only actor of these three that I can really speak to,
100%.
having seen him in multiple things. I think he's a very talented actor. I don't know that I've ever seen him play a straight up villain that wasn't like like he's a bad guy in Mad Max, but he's like an insane psycho guy, and
he's got a little of the crazy and the great.
He's kind of he's kind of evil in The Great, but he's also like aloof, rich, evil, which you need a little bit of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of dumb in The Great, and Lex Luthor's got to be like a genius.
And Renfield's like a completely different role. And I guess what we're saying, like we mentioned, he played J.R.R. Tolkien. He's played Beast. Like he's got range. So I don't doubt that he can handle this in any way, shape, or form. Like it's going to be good.
Yeah, I can see him being. I can see him playing a part well where it's a character that is obsessed with his own genius, obsessed with his own success, threatened by a being from another world of immense power, but also not wanting to get his hands dirty and, having kind of two sides, like a public persona that he wants people to trust and also like pulling the strings of, Brainiac or whoever behind the scenes.
So modern Beast. Never mind.
Yeah,
you haven't kept up on X-Men stories, so
I know. I keep forgetting that he's a bad guy. Apparently, Beast is bad.
There's all sorts of
X-Men run.
Weird beasting happening.
Wild, weird beasting happening. That's a strange phrase.
I'm gonna make that a verb now.
Yeah. So yeah, this cast is excellent. I'm very excited about this cast. I'm very excited about this reboot. And I just can't wait to see any ounce of anything from this movie. A set photo.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He's also in Nosferatu, that's coming out.
Oh yeah, I just saw a couple like teases
relatively
from that this week.
Yep.
Yeah, and that looks creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Very creepy. I'm excited to see that for sure.
So somewhere in and around all those things we've mentioned, Lex Luthor lies in the middle of all that, and if he can kind of pull it all together, we should be okay.
I bet he can. And if the script is as solid as being projected, then I'm sure it'll be a great role. I'm sure it'll be a a part that he can really kind of, sink his teeth into and run away with, hopefully. And can't wait. Like I was saying, can't wait. Something I also can't wait for, more Star Wars stuff. And that's an evergreen statement for my life all the time. I always can't wait for more Star Wars stuff.
It's true.
So far in my life, I don't think there's ever been a moment in my life when they've been like teasing or talking about new Star Wars stuff that I haven't been excited about it. And I haven't gotten to a point where I have gotten where like the MCU where I'm like, oh, okay, here's another one.
Right.
All right. I'm always
Yeah,
like,
there's
give me more Star Wars. Here we go.
even post abysmalness of Rise of Skywalker, I was still like, there's other things that'll work.
Yeah. I specifically, I regret doing this now, but at the time, because Mandalorian was coming out around the same time as Rise of Skywalker, and I did not start watching Mandalorian until after I had seen Rise of Skywalker. Because I didn't want anything to interrupt my flow of the saga or whatever. And 2, I was like, well, if 9 sucks, then I'll get to go home and watch this cool other Star Wars show.
Right.
And that's ended up working out. But not watching it when it came out, I was completely unable to avoid the spoiler that was, hey, there's a baby Yoda in this show.
Right.
Like there was no way blew up the internet so hard. There was no way that I could escape seeing that.
Yeah,
So
you weren't walking away spoiler free out of that.
No, I would have loved to have the moment of the reveal of that at the end of the first episode and been like, what? And I'm like thinking about how excited I would have been makes me regret that decision. However, it did give me some padding and some comfort to land on after 9 did what it did and was what it was. Again, I don't hate that movie. I don't hate any Star Wars movie. I just like them all in different levels. Steve hates it.
No, I don't. It's let me rephrase that. I do. However, like there's plenty of pieces there that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a giant shit mess, but there were pieces.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there are pieces. I agree. Speaking of Star Wars, let's dive in to a galaxy far, far away. Dave Filoni.
I've heard of him.
Has been, you should have if you like Star Wars. Guess get his credits out of the way. Dave Filoni, hired by George Lucas to work on the Clone Wars animated movie and series. I think he worked on the movie anyway.
Yeah.
I know he worked on the series. Oh, yeah, no, he definitely did because that was the first time we saw Ahsoka. He created the character of Ahsoka Tano and created many characters. Any original character to the Clone Wars movie or show created or co-created by Dave Filoni. He also was co-writer of Boba Fett, the Obi-Wan show, I believe. No, he didn't write the Obi-Wan show, did he? I don't think so.
No.
But he wrote and directed many episodes of the Ahsoka series.
Yep.
That we
Tales
all
of the
just saw
Jedi.
and loved. Tales of the Jedi. Yep.
Bad Batch,
Rebels.
Resistance.
Star Wars Rebels. Resistance. So he's been around.
If it's
hired
been
by
animated,
the man Lucas himself.
Yeah. If it's been animated, he's been there.
For sure. Since 2008 or whatever.
Yep.
Dave Filoni has been promoted to Chief Creative Officer at Lucasfilm.
Which is the same title that Kevin Feige holds at Marvel.
Correct. Yes. A grand overseer of all the moving pieces. This came out in a Vanity Fair article. The article referred to this move as a universe-shaking change, which I feel is a little dramatic. I feel like Dave Filoni has been involved in a lot of different projects at Lucasfilm for a long time. Calling it a universe-shaking change to just make him creative officer, I think is a little overblown. Hyperbole, I guess I should say. So what does this mean? According to this article, according to Dave Filoni, it doesn't mean that he's leading or writing every single project, but he will be brought in the early stages of development on each project so he can have that little bit of touch or kind of like overseeing what's going on. He's not going to be writing season 2 of Andor. He's not going to be, rewriting whatever Skeleton Crew or whatever else we haven't seen yet. There's going to be projects that he's more involved in, more directly involved in. but he's going to be working directly with Kathleen Kennedy, and kind of like shepherding projects early on. In his words, he said in this article, he said, in the past, in a lot of projects I would be brought into, I would see it after it had already developed a good ways. In this new role, it's opened up to basically everything that's going on. When we're planning the future of what we're doing now, I'm involved at the inception phase. I'm not telling people what to do, but I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like part of a Jedi Council almost. I think that's a good thing to have.
Oh, 100%.
Especially, we saw DC suffer from not having a, chief creative officer. We see Marvel flourish from having a chief creative officer. So flourish so much so that chief creative officer is overloaded
Yeah.
and in need of some respite or some help.
Well,
but Star Wars, the output of Star Wars content, movies and shows has been more than DC, but less than Marvel. Still, definitely, I think needs an overseer.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what this chief creative officer and or grand overseer or whatever you want to call them is effectively what George Lucas was in the first trilogy.
Sure. Yeah.
Like he didn't direct things. He didn't after the original, for 2 and 3, he was overseeing it and giving it story beats and whatnot, but it wasn't his hands weren't in the sauce.
Exactly.
But he was able to kind of guide it and say, okay, well, this fits and this doesn't fit, etc. And it worked really well. I don't know if you guys noticed this.
Yeah, because we're still talking about Star Wars a million years later. Yeah,
but
so it definitely worked.
Yeah, to do that seems to make way too much sense, and why they haven't gone that direction in any way, shape, or form. Without something like that, you get what we got with the prequels, where there's no direction. There's no, or not prequels, sequels.
I was gonna say, yeah. I thought you were making a different point,
right?
About just having one person in charge of everything, and you said recently, someone that's not no one's saying no to George Lucas when he's making those prequels, which led to some bumps in the road, quality-wise.
Much.
That's all I'll say.
Bumps in the road. That is the most polite Mike will ever put any words about the prequels. But yeah, I mean, that's the mess you get with the sequels, where there's no overarching story. There's just, they probably weren't using it, but it felt like they were using the Marvel method with it, of we'll just figure this thing out as it goes.
To use Rise of Skywalker as an example, it's why is it always the best example?
Or the worst?
I think it's the best example because it had so much promise. And like you said, there's a lot of good things that are cool, fun things that happen in that movie, but it's just maybe it's too much, or maybe they're doing them for the wrong reasons, or they're not earning the beats that they're claiming. And, it's a mess. It's not that it's like the prequels, in my opinion, I'm sorry. It's my opinion. The prequels are bad movies. They're not well made.
They're bad movies with a good story.
Exactly. They're not well written. They're not well, shot.
Right. They're as well acted as they could be with what they were given.
They're not well directed films. Rise of Skywalker is just a mess. Just a total mess. So Rise of Skywalker is bad in a different way.
Right.
And the prequels are bad. Rise of Skywalker is a movie that I feel that could have been improved greatly by having a chief creative officer.
And that's.
But also, I don't know that a chief creative officer could have saved Rise of Skywalker, because from everything that we know of Rise of Skywalker, it's that it was Disney and Lucasfilm that weren't changing the release date, that were giving J.J. Abrams this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, and forcing a movie to be made in a year.
Right, but with a chief creative officer, what you have is a executive level. Corporate structure wise, you've got a band A person that's able to talk back and say, no, listen, this is what we need to do to make things work so that you can get your returns later. To be able to translate, the people person, the Bobs in Office Space, or the what's his face that was talking to them. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
But,
what you mean.
like,
Yeah.
the guy that
Um,
talks from the engineers to the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
people, like, you gotta
Right.
figure it out.
Yeah. Um, a specific example that I immediately thought of when I read this news, again from Rise of Skywalker, a lot of longtime Star Wars fans and fans of the Clone Wars TV show, very bothered by the joke in Rise of Skywalker where the stormtroopers start flying with jetpacks and, they fly now, they fly now, they fly now. That joke, when stormtroopers have been flying since the Clone Wars. They've been flying for the last 50 years. Or clone troopers, not necessarily stormtroopers, but like this technology has been around. Jetpacks have existed in Star Wars for a lot longer and have been worn by troopers. So that joke, while sure it works in a light-hearted, fun adventure, it works for people that have never seen the Clone Wars, but for like real Star Wars fans that expect this to happen in some kind of that expect a respect to canon.
Yep.
That joke doesn't really work, and it points out to those people. It points out a lack of understanding of the universe that you're playing in. I think somebody like Dave Filoni, as chief creative officer, would have taken a look at that joke in Rise of Skywalker and said, "This joke doesn't work because these troopers have been flying since the Clone Wars. So we need to come up with a different joke here." That's the kind of stuff that I think he's kind of talking about. Like he's not saying he's not going to tell people what movie to make or what story to tell, but he's going to help them tell their story. And that's kind of one of those ways, just kind of like course correct things that are just kind of outside of canon, basically.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for this. I know there's people that don't love Dave Filoni and don't love the stuff that he's done or are annoyed that so much of the live action stuff is now starting to become dependent on whether or not you've seen the animated stuff. I don't feel that way because I think I've seen the animated stuff and it's good. Like I guess if you're someone that just doesn't like animation, I'm sorry, but
Right.
I'm sorry. It's good though. That's not Lucasfilm's fault, and it's not Dave Filoni's fault that you don't like animation. You should try watching these shows. If you don't want to, that's fine, but just know that you're gonna miss out on a couple references here or there.
Yeah, I feel like after Ahsoka, and if we get some more things in universe that are in the Filoniverse that aren't animated, some of those, I guess, issues will go away in the sense that people will be able to have their. It's not like, all right, there's this one series that I had, like, I don't understand it because of this. When the Thrawn movie or the next season of whatever comes out, people will be fine because it's like, okay, well, I remember the things from this, so it's fine, whatever.
Right.
Like, I think it's more of a recency bias on the fact that people are bitching about that.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't like the Filoni stuff, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's fine, but like just because
go watch
it's
the
animation,
non-Filoni stuff.
Right.
That stuff that's there too.
Right. There's a reason, and I guess that's the other thing. I've been saying for years that this universe is big enough to do all sorts of random shit. Like, I've been calling for the Rogue Squadron. Like, I was completely like torn when the Rogue Squadron movie got canned. But do fighter pilot stuff. Do a series on stormtroopers. Do stuff outside the box. And like Andor. Andor is a perfect example. Yeah. Andor is made for adults. It is adult Star Wars. Right. Star Wars will not survive if there is not kids Star Wars.
True.
So
that's a great point.
We have to keep moving that forward.
Yes. And Dave Filoni, I think, is a great person to keep that in mind.
And he's done that with every one of his animated shows where the first season has been relatively kid-oriented and kid-friendly.
Yep.
As the series progresses, the shows grow up with the kids watching it.
Yes.
And it's been like, by the time you're at season 7 of Clone Wars, it's straight up like dark.
Star Wars.
It's Star Wars. And the Bad Batch picks up from where that left off and goes.
Oh yeah.
So
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a meme kind of going around on Threads in regards to this. And I was the caption was a picture, and the caption was when one of Dave Filoni's characters shows up in Andor season 2, and the picture was a line of like tough-looking military guys, but in the middle was just one guy dressed like a clown. And I thought that was funny. Like I got that, you know, taking a shot at the animation stuff. But then I saw a lot of other people reposting that, saying, "I got some bad news for you, buddy," with a picture of Saw Gerrera, who was already in Andor season 1 and is a Dave Filoni
and was created by Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that Onderon arc was so good.
Yeah, I know.
Now I need to go back and watch the Clone Wars. I finished my Rebels rewatch, so
I just started season 4 with my son, so it's slow going, but real good. And I was looking ahead to see like what episodes are in season 4. I was like, ooh, yeah.
Now, were you just doing a release order with him?
Oh yes,
okay.
Yeah. I know they jump around, but I don't have the patience to
search them out and
search around or whatever. Yeah, no, we're just gonna watch them.
Yeah, I thought about it, and my brain was like, because he'll want to watch some without me. Yeah. There's no point in me like trying to say, all right, let's do this in a way that makes sense. Let's just do it how it was released. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So, last quote from the Dave Filoni future Star Wars article. We're still on Filoni. He just said one interesting thing about his future plans for Star Wars and the projects that he's involved with. This article talks about the chance of getting an Ahsoka season 2. And it also mentions like the movie that he's been tasked to direct or announced as directing. And he said this about future stuff. He said, "I'm setting up what seems to be a larger conflict with the Imperial Remnant. That conflict can't just mirror what we've seen before. It has to take on a different shape. It can't just be the Empire versus what looks like the Rebellion or even the Republic. It has to be visually different." And this is a quote that I love. I love. We've said before, as relevant as, you know, fascist governments needing to be taken down by a plucky group of rebels always is. Like that story always works.
It's the Star Wars equivalent of Captain America punching Nazis. It's always gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yes. And this isn't not that. It's just the remnants of this fascist regime that still need to be, you know, remnant Nazis that need to be punched out.
Right.
The fact that he's knowledgeable about how it has to look different and be visually different, I think, is smart and a really good sign that we're in good hands for whatever shape that story ends up taking place. I'm excited about it. So, another story that I'm very excited about is the new Jedi Order movie that was announced at Star Wars Celebration past spring, starring one Daisy Ridley, the return of Rey. She gave an interview with Collider this week in regards to that film and her appearance at Star Wars Celebration, her surprise appearance. She said, "It was such a nice reception. I was shitting myself before I went on stage because nobody knew that I was going to that. No one knew I was going to Celebration, bar like Kathleen Kennedy. So I was nervous. Oh my God, it was such a wonderful reception. I'm very excited. The story is really cool. I'm waiting to read a script because obviously I don't have any other updates. It's not what I expected, but I'm very excited." She went on to say, "I know the storyline for one film. That's not to say that that's all there is, but that's what I was told about. And I imagine it will be the next film, I think. I mean, again, I don't know post-strikes and everything, how quickly everything will start up again. But yes, so far, I know the story of one film, and I think people will be very excited." So, I mean, that's about as vague as you can get.
Right.
And it's not like she's going to say anything other than that.
Right. It's coach speak, but it's coach speak that makes me excited.
Yeah. Right. Because I honestly don't think she would have come back if she didn't believe in the story. You know?
Right. Well, and does that, because when did we talk about her going to Lucasfilm Ranch or to Skywalker Ranch? There was it was a while ago, but there was like
lunch with Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. It was like a few months before Celebration. So like they were cooking on this for a while.
Yeah. So this may have like all happened around that time. And again, now with the strikes, We're finally getting a lot of this stuff that we probably would have gotten about 6 months ago.
We should have gotten 6 months
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
That would have been very timely, coming relatively out of, 6 months from November. We're in May compared to.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Because when do the strikes start? June?
I think so.
Like, I want to say June as well. So that's not far. Like, so we
July,
got
July 14th.
July. Okay. And Celebration was what, in April? May?
Yeah.
I wanna say April.
April.
So
The WGA strike started in May. That's what we're thinking of. SAG
okay.
didn't join
Okay.
until.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, so Celebration is in April, and the writer's strike started in May. In April, they announced 3 Star Wars movies: the Dawn of the Jedi, Dawn of the Force, or Dawn of the Jedi film.
Yep.
That James Mangold is writing, the Dave Filoni Mandoverse film, and this one, Charmin Obaid Chinoy's directorial Star Wars film starring Daisy Ridley, New Jedi Order. But then a month later, everyone working on those movies had to stop working on them.
Right.
And couldn't start until a month ago.
Let's
or
take
whatever,
this to
when
a
that
screeching
strike
halt.
was over. Yeah, exactly. So, and we know some work had been done on this movie because we know that what's his face from Lost and Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Lindelof, Damon
That's it, yeah.
Lindelof. And he had a Justin Brett Gibson. They turned in a script and then promptly left the project,
Right.
or were asked to leave the project.
Promptly unturned it and said script and.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows if they're going to keep that story? There might be elements from that script that they do keep. So like,
Right.
there's some work that was being done on that already. Who knows how long James Mangold had been working on his movie? Because he's also was announced to write Swamp Thing. So like, who knows? But regardless, they all had to stop writing a month after this announcement was made. So I would say we're pretty far out from probably hearing anything about any of these movies, because they were either at or back to square one right before they were announced. And then they had to stop working on them for 6 to 8 months or however long that strike was. So we'll see. I'm still excited about it.
Yeah.
And, like, just the more time away only is going to be more exciting when it actually finally is announced. And we're getting some tide you over, series show content, which is fine. But I almost said I'm getting tired of the series. I'm not getting tired of the series, especially because like they're good. Like Ahsoka is great, so I'm not tired of that. Or Andor season 2, I'm going to be out of my mind excited about when we start.
I'm really excited about the Acolyte.
And yes, and the Acolyte. There's like exciting things happening.
Skeleton
but
Crew.
in my
sure.
Well, Skeleton, I feel like we don't know enough about Skeleton Crew to be excited.
I think
excited
that's why I'm
for,
like meh on it. It's
Yeah.
like I just don't know what it is.
I haven't seen anything. Show
Right.
me a trailer. I can't wait to be excited about it. But you gotta make me excited about it.
Yeah, the only thing we've seen is a logo and a picture of Jude Law with like.
A vague description. Little kids exploring, not little kids, but like
Right.
teenage kids exploring.
Toddlers exploring the galaxy.
Yeah. Baby Jedi adventures. But anyway, that all that is great. But in my heart, Star Wars is a film franchise.
Yes.
And belongs on the big screen. So there's no more exciting moment in a movie theater than the few seconds between the blue
Yes.
long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and the burst of the Star Wars theme and the words Star Wars shooting backwards into the stars. Like, there's no more exciting moment in a movie theater for me.
Yeah.
Than just like
that John Williams fanfare.
Yeah, man. It's the best.
Like I'm hearing it just going through my head right now, but
yeah,
I've
heard it 1,000
Oh, yeah.
times.
And that's I don't know if I realized it as much until the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary screening this year.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, this is still great every single time.
Yeah, still great. Yeah. I got emotional when that happened.
Oh yeah.
When I saw Force Awakens.
Yep.
because it had been like so
Oh,
long
yeah.
since a new
Yep.
Star Wars movie, and the hype was like so insane, and like da-da, I was just like, oh god, oh my god, I'm watching a new Star Wars movie. Oh my god, I just was insane. I can't wait.
Yep.
Can't wait for that to happen again.
Absolutely.
But it'll be a while, as we just talked about, because
They still
there's
don't
no
have a
scripts.
script.
There's no scripts. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of not having a script, we keep hearing that this movie's dead, but then I feel like the next two stories are smaller stories, and they're both things that we once thought were dead and may not be dead, but may be taking a very long time. Maybe we'll never see them. Maybe we will. One of them is the Taika Watiti Star Wars film. He was on the Kelly Clarkson show this week and was asked about it, and he said, "I've been developing it for a few years, but I think with any film, but that one in particular, it's something I'd really like to get right, so I don't want to rush it. It's going to bubble along on the side. I want to capture the joy and the entertainment of those early ones, like The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and all those ones. So I'm trying to figure that out. It will happen." So I appreciate this quote as someone he's not just taking a paycheck and turning in the first thing that he thinks of, which you could argue seemed like what he did with Thor: Love and Thunder. But also, clearly he was under time constraints that he's not under with Lucasfilm, like he was under Thor: Love and Thunder with Marvel. So, as up and down as I've been on Taika Waititi's stuff, I like a lot. Most of what he's done that I've seen, I've liked quite a bit. Some things recently I've been a little more soured on. However, I do think he's a talented writer. I think he's got a great sense of humor. I think he's a really good director when he's really plugged into the material that he's working with. So for him to say that he wants to get it right and he doesn't want to rush it, sure, yeah, I'm all in on that. And because he's said in the past, and we're talking years ago now that he said this, that it's a standalone thing, it's a big galaxy, so he wants to get out away from other stories that have already being told, means that he can take his time on this because it's not going to affect whatever bigger storytelling that they're working on. So, yeah, take your time, Taika.
100%.
Take your time, man. Take 2 more years. I don't care. Because, like I said, we're getting this other stuff. We're getting other Star Wars things. So, take your time. Make it good. Just make a good thing.
Yeah, there's no reason to rush things along. And
we'll see.
Yeah.
So this is a small story, and it's like a glimmer of hope. This is a glimmer of hope. We talked about was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We talked about how the Knights of the Old remake is reportedly not happening. But now, Bloomberg reporter Jason Scheer has posted on Twitter that he has heard from at least 2 sources, employees inside Saber Interactive, that the game is still being worked on. Now, this is a remake of the Knights of the Old Republic game for Xbox. One of many people's favorite Star Wars game, or one of the certainly a favorite Star Wars story. Yeah. So I have never played that game. I don't know anything about it. I know there's a big twist in it, and I'm glad that I don't know what that twist is. And I hope that this game does get made so I can experience that in somewhat of a similar fashion to how all you people did when you played the game in the first place. So, however, in the same tweet, he did mention that he doesn't necessarily know and can't speak to whether or not the game will actually be released or what kind of game it will end up being. But it is currently being worked on, according to 2 sources inside Saber Interactive Games. So, big shoulder shrug for me. Who knows? Who knows? I don't.
Nope.
But if it comes out, I'll play it.
Yep.
That's all I'll say.
I'm currently replaying Super Mario RPG, which was a Super NES game back in the day.
Oh, fun.
They just re-released it on the Switch. So,
oh, dope.
Yeah, it's all upscaled and looks cool. And weirdly, my son now wants to watch me play it.
Like, oh, yeah. No, weird. My son wants to watch me play video games all the time.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a comic to review this week?
I do. Do you?
I also do. I
Weird.
sure do, Steve.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
Many thanks to
you
Jesse.
You can go first because
over...
I was. Yeah. Shout out to Jesse, Funkytown Comics, hooking us up with these reviews. I went first last week because you didn't have one to review. So would you like to go first this week?
Sure, I can. This week we opted for Marvel's Superheroes Secret
Oh.
Wars Battle World #1.
Wow.
Which,
All
as you can
right.
see by the cover, is an homage back to the original Secret Wars cover, and
Yeah.
things happening. You see Spidey in the black suit. You see the Human Torch. You see all sorts of heroes and villains on the bottom going at it. This thing was a book.
Okay.
It was written by Tom DeFalco, art by Pat Olaf, John Calise, Joe Caramanga, Giuseppe Caminicoli, and Paul Mounts. And yeah, it's, I believe, was out this week. So as you can imagine, it is a desired throwback to Secret Wars. Very scattered all over the place. You see, Spidey. I'm failing at showing you anything, but you see Spidey jumping around from Ice Planet to
Oh wow.
whatever's going on here, and
Yow.
there's a multitude of everything
Wild.
happening. It goes all over the place. There's not really a plot at all. Johnny Storm shows up. Johnny Storm shows up arbitrarily because why not? Hobgoblin shows up. Like there's just a whole lot of weird. There's no connective tissue.
What is this book? Is it a prelude to something? Is it the beginning of a new series?
I think it's a new mini that is coming out that is supposed to, I don't know if it's a prelude or a like some sort of connection to the original, but it doesn't really do it. I don't know. It might be one where it needs another issue, but right now it's kind of I like Spidey and I like the Human Torch, so I will continue reading that issue, and that is what kept me going.
Yeah.
So the Beyonders apparently doing some sort of test on Spidey, and that's where we're at. I don't know.
All right.
Weird.
So it seems like
a weird book.
Seems like a little messy. Maybe.
Yeah. There was a lot going on, and not a lot of it had connective tissue to tie it all together. So.
All right. Well, that's too bad. I was given a book that came out last week, issue #1 of Batman Off-World by Jason Aaron. His first book for DC, famed, legendary, dare I say legendary, Marvel writer at this point, Jason Aaron.
You could say.
Written by him, pencils by Doug Mankey, inks by Jamie Mendoza, colors by David Barron, edited by Ben Abernathy. No credit for letterer.
Weird.
Like, is that what? Yeah.
Nobody wrote
weird.
the letters. It's fine.
Yeah. Did they just magically appear? This is a book that I did not intend on picking up, despite it being Jason Aaron, because I'm a street level Batman guy.
Yep.
I like just stopping bank robbers and punching people in the face on the streets of Gotham City. This takes place early in Batman's career, his first time leaving the planet, and he's doing it by himself, not with the Justice League or anything like that. I like this book a lot. I thought it was great, and I don't know if it's just that I am, I spoke recently about how I stopped pulling the main Batman line just because I started getting a little sick of what they were doing, and I got a little bored by it, and it just wasn't interesting to me anymore. I don't know if I'm going to continue reading this because, again, I'm not in love with Batman in space still, but this felt new and fresh and exciting because it really felt like Batman, like it didn't feel like they were enhancing him in any way or giving him knowledge or skills that he shouldn't have just because he's fighting super powerful aliens. Like, he's still just like human Bruce Wayne as Batman. He doesn't have any more like, oh, good thing I brought my anti-alien gun, or like weird comic book stuff like that. Like, he just got the same utility belt that he has on Earth, but somehow he's in a different galaxy, and they don't really tell you everything. They tell you some stuff. Bruce Wayne bought a super experimental high-powered rocket to fly to this galaxy for some reason that you don't know yet. It's insinuated that he's doing it out of love for somebody, but they haven't clarified that or named who that could possibly be. He gets abducted. His ship is out of commission somewhere, and he is found by this group of aliens that was just going from ship to ship, planet to planet, and finding slaves to recruit for their masters. And it's really cool. It's him trying to survive. It's him trying to fight aliens. And I got to say, it's really cool to see a Batman book with this much color in it.
Yeah.
Because normally Batman books are a lot of gray and dark and rain and gloom and doom.
Right.
He's even wearing a blue and gray suit in this, which I like quite a bit. Haven't seen him in a blue and gray in a long time. I feel like it's been mostly, black. But just like, sprawling, bright base with pinks and
Looks
hot
more like
fire
a
flashes
Thor.
and things.
Looks
It looks like a Thor book, or it looks like
Guardians, or
or it's got the colors of that like Batman Mad City. Book. But even that's like a weird, monstery, Lovecraftian tale.
which I'm still waiting with bated breath on the second. Of that.
Yeah,
that
was
great.
really good book. That was really good. So yeah, I like this book a lot. So much so that I might pick up the second one. Because like I say, I just feel like a lot of times when Batman leaves the planet, he stops feeling like Batman. They feel like they have to increase his skill level or something in some kind of way that justifies him being there. Well, this just feels like this is the same Batman that is swinging from rooftop to rooftop on Gotham City. And yeah, the writing's really good. Also, like, you can tell that he's got a plan. They're hinting at stuff. They're foreshadowing. They're doing flashbacks to start telling the story of why he's here. He meets a Tamaranian, who's another prisoner. He has not mentioned anything about knowing Starfire or anything yet, so I don't know if that'll go anywhere or if she's going to be connected to Starfire in any way. Who knows? Batman Off-World by Jason Aaron and Doug Mankey. Number 1 came out last week. I'm not sure when number 2 is coming out. Probably, my guess would be another week or two, early December. But yeah, check it out. I recommend this one for sure. For Batman fans of all kinds. Yeah. And this week, in your local comic book store, you can find 007 for King and Country, number 6, Action Comics, number 1059, Alan Scott, The Green Lantern, number 2, Amazon's Attack, number 2, Basic Instinct, number 1.
Like the movie?
I can only assume that it's like the movie because that's a pretty specific title to have if it's not like the movie. But, out of movies that would make good comic book adaptations, I would have not expected Basic Instinct to happen. But here we are. You looking it up?
I am. An anonymous artist who draws their inspiration from famous murderers has opened their newest exhibit surrounding the now infamous ice pick murder centered around Catherine Trammell. However, a security guard at the exhibit is murdered on its opening night. The art director responsible for the opening is thrust into an investigation that forces him to question his own involvement.
Huh. All right. Sounds like similar stuff, so I guess so. I mean, crime comics exist. It's not like they're all superhero capes and tights, So like, cool. I mean, clearly it's a good enough idea that it got greenlit, made it to print. So, I hope it's good. I wonder if Sharon Stone or Michael Douglas are involved in any way.
I was going to say the 1 in 50 is like an homage to that Sharon Stone leaning back in the chair pose thing. So
the scene everybody knows.
Yeah. The scene when you think Basic Instinct of like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, when you think of Basic Instinct, you think Sharon Stone. Yeah. Never actually seen that movie.
Same.
I feel like I know a lot about it for having never seen it.
Same.
But yeah. Should sit down and watch it someday. But not today. Batman 89 Echoes, number 1, a book pick up because I really enjoyed the first run of Batman 89. Batman the Brave and the Bold, number 7. Captain America, number 3. Conan the Barbarian, number 5. Darkwing Duck, number 10. Detective Comics, number 1078. Flash, number 3. Green Arrow, number 6. Harley Quinn, number 34. Howard the Duck, number 1. Kong, The Great War, number 4. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 12. Ms. Marvel, A New Mutant, number 4. Penguin number 4, Power Girl number 3, Predator versus Wolverine number 3, Savage Red Sony number 2, Something is Killing the Children number 35. They're up to 35 already. I don't think.
In there.
I think I fell off longer ago than I thought. I think.
Same.
And I think it's now confirming that I am no longer pulling Something is Killing the Children.
Same.
Or collecting that book.
Well, weirdly, I stopped pulling it when I switched my pull over to Funky Town because of the weirdness with
Boom. Yeah.
Yep. So.
Yep. And I was making the drive out to the other place to pick it up for a while.
Yep.
And clearly, I think it's part of my.
I think I did that for about 2 weeks. Then I was like, nah, I can't.
It's too much, and it feeds into my desire to be buying less floppies.
Yep.
So, sorry, Something is Killing the Children. I loved you for a very long time, and I'll probably read the trade because I want to know what happens.
Yeah.
But done with the individual issues. Real quick, Spider-Woman number 1, Titans Beast World number 1, Vampirella Dead Flowers number 3, X-Men Blue Origins number 1. Steve, what are you reading? What are you pulling? Pulling any of these? Any on your list?
I'm sure I'll end up with
X-Men Blue.
Well, yes. So
Yeah.
that one, I don't know if you know the premise of that.
I do not.
So that whole shebang is ties into the Uncanny Nightcrawler or the Uncanny Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is officially the true new retcon of Nightcrawler's origin with Mystique and the whole 9.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, hence the blue title.
Origin X-Men Blue Origins.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what the title says, even though you wouldn't have thought that if I didn't tell you that. So.
Yeah, because I see X-Men Blue, and I think
It's just
the blue
team. Yeah.
X-Men team from the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, it's literally the blue X-Men.
Yeah, right. The ones with blue skin.
Right.
Blue fur.
So,
cool. Anything you were going to say that you're pulling something else, or you might end up with something else?
Oh, I think Ms. Marvel is technically part of Fall of X, which is still being pulled because there's 1 month more on it. So it's like, all right, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I'll throw the 30 extra bucks at Jesse and say I've officially finished it.
Yeah. I did it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I'm going to be pulling. Like I said, I'll probably pick up that Batman 89 Echoes number 1. But no, I'm still waiting. Like I really like that first issue of Penguin, the Tom King Penguin book, but I think I'm going to wait for trade to get that for sure. So, because I do want to see what happened in that story, because first issue was great.
Yep.
Great first issue. I also feel like I do have a lot of trades right now that I've been buying over the last year that I just haven't read at all, that I would really like to. Feel like once
you know what? I grabbed a ton at that garage sale of like classic X-Men that I really want to get into.
Yeah.
Because there was the ones you grabbed those ones for me, the 1 through 5 Uncanny.
Yeah.
And then I also went back and got the 1 through 5 of Wolverine and the X-Men, which was a great series.
There you go.
Yep. Nope.
Lots to read.
Sorry, Jesse. I got to trim the pull list too. Mike's convinced me.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't mean that. Don't come for me, Jesse. It's not my fault. Yeah, like, just I want to read Wonder Woman Historia that I bought today. I want to finish reading Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that I bought and I haven't read yet. There's so much that I have. Batman Beyond the White Knight. I have 2 volumes of Bitch Planet. Like I just started finally reading volume 2 of Gail Simone's Red Sonja, that I think is so good.
Right.
And I've had it for like a year and I have never read it. So like, hopefully I can find some after this show that I'm playing Friday, which I'm putting a lot of energy into. Hopefully I can find some downtime, some quieter time during a holiday season, which is almost impossible. Yeah, I'm saying it out loud, realizing you're not going to find downtime during the holidays. Are you crazy? That never happens for me. But who knows? Hopefully I'll find some nice, some relaxing time to sit down with a book and finally get through some of these stories that I'm dying to read.
That'd be nice. But
Yeah,
I'm not
it
holding my
would be.
breath.
Neither am I. Neither am I. Did we do it? Is that all we got this week?
I think so. We didn't have any one-shotsy type things, did we?
No one shots. No one. I mean, I think there was a thing where the writer director of Constantine says that they're still working on developing Constantine 2, but it wasn't much
Like
of a...
the Keanu Constantine?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently that still is alive, possibly alive within as an Elseworlds project within the James Gunn universe, but I'm sure it still has to get approved and greenlit and all that stuff, so
Sure,
we'll see
why
if it ever
not?
happens. I did just start watching John Wick Chapter 4 the other night. I couldn't finish it, so I have to finish it sometime soon, tonight or tomorrow.
That's
But
at
it was
least
good.
that's at least a John Wick more than I've ever watched.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, have you never seen the John Wick movies? They're
No.
worth watching if you like insane action scenes.
Yeah, I
Fun,
heard if
fun.
nothing else, it's worth it for that.
Oh yeah, I think the first two I thought were like legitimately great, and then third was fun, and then this one seems like fun but not quite as good so far. Like the action is still really good, but like story wise, it starts like the simpler it is, the better. The first one was a very simple story, and that's what made it work so well.
Right.
And each subsequent one, you start like world building a little, and it's seemingly getting a little too big for itself, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Not that I'm still not enjoying them. I'm still enjoying them quite a bit. But,
Right.
you know, now there's like lore and stuff that we're getting into. And I'm like, I don't
You
know.
gotta
If I
pay
need this.
attention
I
to all
just-
this crap.
Yeah, I just need Keanu Reeves, you know, messing people up left and right. And he does. He does
There you go.
deliver on that for sure. So-
He's yeah. I've heard.
But
nothing
will he ever? Yeah, will he ever deliver as Constantine? Who knows? Who knows?
Neo probably does.
Yeah, the one. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got. Unless you got anything else, Steve.
No, nothing. Nothing
We'll
crazy
wrap
here.
this thing up.
Yeah, I'd say we call it a show. And if you are still hanging in there, listening to us or watching us, you should probably like, subscribe, so you can listen to us and watch us more. Check us out on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Leave a review. 5 stars would be appreciated. On YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe. You can get notifications for when we go live. Leave some comments in the chat. Do whatever you're doing, and we'll be coming back into your ear holes in a week.
Yeah,
Actually,
or
no,
less than that.
less than
I was
that.
gonna say, yeah. Make sure you subscribe to us on podcatchers and follow us on social media so you can hear when we're going to be posting our interview with Simon Burke, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
happening this week. I'm very
Also,
excited.
check us out on socials at the Multiverse Report for
The
whatever.
Multiverse Report, please. Mostly active on Instagram, somewhat on Facebook. Trying to get the ball rolling on Threads as well. Threads seems to be popping lately, so
Yeah.
trying to post on there more. So
We have a blue sky.
Please follow
we
us.
monitor it. We don't really post on it, mostly because I suck at social media.
yeah, we got a blue sky, but doesn't seem like a whole lot's going on over there. But who knows? Who knows? We don't. You don't. But if that's all we got, I'll say thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And until next time, we'll see you in the multiverse.